In the public hearing for questions or comments. Clerk? If anybody has any question or comment on the public hearing, that is where we are now. Once we get down in the agenda, you'll be able to comment on the other items, but this is specifically about the public hearing. So it is open for public comments on this item. If anybody has any, please step to the mic, state your name.
Commissioner Ethel Clark Griffin. Through the chair, this is for Mr. Little. I just want to get clarity. Are you saying you want to transfer funds for next year youth program? Is that what I heard?
No, actually,
Okay.
next year's is intact. We were about to charge this year's program, which started right about the beginning of the fiscal year for next year.
Okay.
It belongs in the previous years.
All right, that's all. Thank you.
And I should add, the comment period runs through October 17th, if anybody wants to write anything or follow up.
Commissioner Mary Alice Adams, how much was the amount that was mentioned, and can you explain to the residents exactly what's expected for that period of time for their comments to be emailed in?
The exact amount was $37,474, which brings the public service amount of the grant to $62,474, which is the 15% that's allowable under public services. And as to the remaining period of the comment period, if somebody wanted to comment, they can simply email it to me here at the city at alittle@bhcity.us, or they can mail in writing into city to the attention of community development.
One last question is if a resident went on the city site, can they find that consolidated plan and funds that are geared towards projects?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. See, a step toward the mic. It's still not working.
Are there any other questions in regards to the public hearings item?
I got one more question. Will we be getting that information about the I like to see stuff on paper. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you.
Hi. I just had a question about this.
State your name.
Oh, Ashley Hines. Of the funds that were allocated towards rehab activities, how much was actually spent on it? I'm just wondering why there's money left over that's trying to be reallocated instead of being spent towards housing rehab.
Housing rehab, because of a number of factors, the primary one being the prerequisite process of assessing and abating lead has been slowing that project down. And as a result, it's not going to affect anything. We have going funding from several different years all at the same time. So there's adequate money to continue. It won't delay anything because now we're getting ready to begin even programming for fiscal year 2023.
Okay.
Hi, good evening. My name is Cassandra Booker. In regards to the housing rehab activity, is there currently a program in place?
There is, and it primarily focuses on low and moderate income homeowners. It's been in place continually since it opened back up in last, I believe, April or May. But people who own their homes and if the home qualifies and if the people qualify in terms of their income and so forth, are eligible to apply. And when they're approved, this actually is initiated as a loan program. If it's a larger amount, 25,000 or thereabout, like for doing roofs and
Mhm.
things like that, then there's also a 10-year lien that's
Mhm.
placed on their property. And if they continue to live in that property, 1/10 of it is forgiven each year.
Okay.
And at the end of the 10-year
Yes, sir.
period.
100%.
the entire amount's forgiven.
And one more question in regards to how have we gotten this information out to the public other than being on I know it's on the city website. Is there any other avenue of presenting or getting this information out to the residents? Did we?
It has been previously talked about on radio, I believe. It's published in the newspapers. There's quite a process for it. They require us to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else in public comment?
One more
Public
question,
hearing? Sorry.
quickly. Through the chair, is this consolidated plan subject to revision?
Rick Little?
Yes, sir.
Okay, last question. Because I don't think we've done it in quite some time, and I just heard Mr. Little mention it. In times past, there used to be loans that were given to some of the business owners as opposed to the home rehabilitation program. Is there a process in place for anyone, business owner, homeowner, whomever, if they want to actually get a loan themselves as opposed to the home rehabilitation program?
No,
Why?
because that's never been a part of the plan.
Okay.
You just did a 5-year consolidated plan last year. It's not included.
Okay, and back to my initial question through the chair was that this consolidated plan is subject to be revised.
Yes, ma'am.
So is that something that can be a part of the revision with some type of policy in place for a small resident that may own their own business to come and apply? And is there a process, or should we put a process in place?
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. We tried that before. But we can try it again.
For the
Small
residents.
residents own- I think that $350,000 how we had to pay back was residents.
It was million.
Millions, I'm sorry, was residents that we paid back on loans that never was secured. But maybe we could do some mini type of loan or something for, we can ask, doesn't hurt to ask. Commissioner Henderson?
I was just gonna say, because I don't think a lot of people understand what happened and why, what you had to do to actually get, all of the financing and all of the monies back to the levels that they were. Would you mind walking through that process really quickly to give the residents an understanding of what and why?
As
You might want to say it loud.
All right. when I came on board October 5th of 2020, the city's community development block grant funds had been frozen and had been frozen for quite some time.
When you say frozen, what do you mean?
In other words, the 2019 grant had been approved, but they would not release any of the money. They had a number of stipulations and requirements they wanted the city to meet in order for them to release the money. Basically, it was quite a number of things, and when I came on board, the first thing I had to do was sit down and talk with HUD and start going through step by step each one of these items that they had concerns about and move to correct them. As a matter of fact, the last one that was on that list, we were just submitting to them policies and procedures just in the last month. But HUD has a very strict set of regulations about processes, procedures, steps, and how things are done and so forth. At a point in time in the past, the city was not meeting all of those, and we had to put them in place, and that basically is what we did. And for example, any project that we propose has to be consistent with a listing of what HUD has approved as national objectives. Ours has to meet one of those national objectives. Then we've got to address the issue of qualification in terms of the people who are applying, that they're low income and moderate income and so forth, and all the documentation to show it. In some instances, we've also got to look at census tracts and so forth to be sure that they're eligible in that specific area and so forth. So there's a lot of different steps and things that we go through. And that's what we had to submit to them and put in place in order to get the money released. And as a result, by March of last year, they finally released the 2019 money, and in the next 5 or 6 months after that, we released 2020, 2021.
Can we get an explanation, Madam
Thank you.
Chair, as to why accountability?
Well, that's something that I think that if we were to do an autopsy on what happened before, we would find that it was not literal government, but it was the after effects of post-traumatic EFM disorder. We had to fix a lot of EFM that did to the city. A lot of things that happened that people were doing without our permission. A lot of times people did what they wanted to do, and they tucked their tail and ran. Now they're getting hired by other people. So anyway, we did. Anything else on the public hearing? Anybody else has anything they want to add, comments? That being all, we'll close the public hearing. Moving now to presentation by Cornerstone Alliance.
We got a little tech work we got to do here, so excuse us for a second.
How long is it going to take?
30 seconds probably.
Okay. So I said we can do the update now. So we get people back. While y'all getting ready to do that.
Sure.
Director Little, can you give us an update, number 4, real quick?
I had a sheet passed out, just sort of a listing, so I could run down it rather quickly.
Yes, sir.
On HUD first, we're closing the summer youth employment program and pulling all the numbers and so forth together on that, and putting the information into IDIS. That's the federal information system. The food bank program had completed its distribution for this past year. We're anticipating adding and doing one more distribution before the year end. The senior service food program, which is serviced about, I think about 70 seniors. That's where they, in addition to Meals on Wheels, they distribute certain foods and so forth to the holdouts and so forth. The housing rehab program, we have both the regular CDBG program. As I said, we have several years of it going at the same time. Also, the CDBG coronavirus grant program for housing rehab that we're working on. We also have a lead hazard grant from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services for $100,000 that is working in concert with housing rehab to try and address some of the lead problems. I I mentioned to you before the difficulty we had where we were trying to cover out of block grant funds, both the lead abatement and the rehab. And as a consequence, we would sometimes have not been able to do any more than just 1 or 2 houses. The sidewalk program is pretty much drawn to a close, and it's getting closed out now. Our demolition project, we're still going through the steps to try and get it complete. We've approached a number of the My Deal contractors that do environmental work to get a contract for them to do the assessment on the asbestos, and likewise another contractor to do abatement on those that are determined to have lead problems. We can't do the demolition until we get that step out of the way, and that's what's holding us up. We've got about, I believe it's around 46 units that are set up for us to demolish once we can do that. Additionally, on the substantial amendments in progress we just talked about, there's environmental heroes review work to be completed for enabling the 2023 grant programs. There's some additions to the policies and procedures that are due on Monday that I'm working on. The CAPER extension is through the 31st of October, and it'll be submitted. And we just finished a public hearing. Just to run down the list, Project T status, it's ready to be submitted, I believe, Monday. Same with corner of Wall Street project. The Ox Creek Corridor redevelopment project is proceeding. It's, I believe, a groundbreaking on the Myers Rain Garden this morning. It's, that feeds into part of Ox Creek and will be a help to it. Working on the camera installations, delivery of the chipper and sweepers, planning, getting going for next year's summer youth employment program, possibly some sidewalk revision. We're working on a marijuana ordinance revision. Just mentioned working with the planning commission, master plan still going on.
Question for you, Director Woodward. How many youth do we employ this summer?
103, and we really had the ability to employ more. It started kind of late.
So we had 103 youth
Yes.
at the city employed.
Actually, it was not all city employed, but it was part of the total
Part
program.
of the total
Yeah,
program.
we had both
103.
funding from CDBG, from CSBG that we got from Community Action Agency, and then money from Michigan Works.
So again, the number was 103. So one thing is the misinformed, but the right information is true. It was 103.
Yes,
103.
yes.
Thank you. So do me a favor, we're gonna go to this presentation, then the public comments will come after that,
All right.
then we'll hear from our board. And we'll ask some questions. All right, thank you.
We good to cut the lights?
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to crane your neck around too. Sorry, commissioners. So, thank you so much for affording us the opportunity to be here today. My name is Andrew Hahn. I'm the Vice President of Business Development at Cornerstone Alliance. I haven't had a chance to be here yet officially. I joined the team in April. I spent my last 5 years running Kalamazoo Downtown Partnership. So, regional peer city. We're going to get to hear a little bit about one project that we're hoping to do here that we're drawing from some of the experience from a project in Kalamazoo. I'm not going to go through in great detail. A lot of what we're talking about is about the block that is bounded by Wall Street, Main, Colfax, and Pipestone. So just a block away from here. Obviously, there's been a lot of redevelopment that's been happening there. There's also a lot of opportunity still and some challenges with buildings that are blighted that we hope we don't lose. Like we've lost so much of our downtown here. So part of our the project that we're going to talk about was really how do we catalyze, what can we do to catalyze that continued investment in redevelopment and make sure we don't lose those buildings and there's activity and places for our whole community to come into downtown. As we were thinking about what we could do, I'm so sorry that this is so fuzzy or out of focus. we wanted to draw from the inspiration from what the community had already given, the input that they'd given in previous plans, the 2011 master plan, the 2015 plan for City Center Park. That's what you see here. So that view on the upper left would actually be almost if you were above this building looking at City Center Park. The blue arrow is actually on the promenade. So that path that goes through the park that was envisioned to extend blocks in each direction to kind of thread downtown together. And you'll see that both on the upper one and that lower one. And again, I'm sorry that you can't see it a little bit better here. And you're not going to be able to read this, but I'll do it. And I'm going to violate one of the cardinal rules of not reading your presentation. But there's three really big things out of that plan that we pulled. So redevelopment. So the central promenade provides a pedestrian connection through the entire park and can be used for community events such as art fairs. The part that's highlighted there, it would continue both east and west of the park to connect with future redevelopment projects. And it goes on to talk about the various amenities that you would have for something like that. That image is drawn right from the plan that was approved in 2015. Public art. So that was another key component of this plan. And it says develop a Main Street entertainment district that capitalizes on the arts district and stimulates reinvestment along Main Street. Exactly what we're talking about. Work with developers and property owners to incorporate public art and artistic displays as part of development projects. So that picture that you see is of a 3D projection at night. So there's some really neat technology that cities are using to draw people in, light up their spaces, and something like this would be a regional draw. There's nothing else like it anywhere in West Michigan, probably not in Michigan at all. And then one that I think is really critical is entrepreneurship. So growing jobs by ones and twos is critical to creating strong local economies in the 21st century. Local communities are fueled by small startups, growth on Main Street, economic gardening strategies aimed at developing the talent and potential that already exists right here. So what you see here is a night market in an alley space in Delland, Florida, which I hope they're doing okay right now. So that was, I wanted to show what was already in the plan, what the community had said that they wanted. Zach is going to talk a little bit about the concept that we've come up with and how we're going to engage the community a little bit further to kind of fine tune it. So,
all right, thank you, Andrew. Good evening, everyone. My name is Zachary Vaughan. I'm a project manager for Cornerstone Alliance for physical and business development, and I've led many of the special projects for the organization here. Before I begin, again, I do want to apologize. We just got that maybe hours ago, so it is a little fuzzy. If anybody has additional questions or would like to see this more clearly, we have no problem of sharing this presentation to any and all. But what we see here, what we try to see here is actually that block that Andrew had mentioned that's between Pipestone and Colfax there. Throughout the summer, really the inception of this project came throughout the summer, where there was a mural that was painted on the back of one of the properties along Wall Street there. Very effervescent, bright mural that has really picked up a lot of good feedback throughout the summer. It's right around the corner from our office. We see individuals coming in to take pictures in front of the mural. And we see a lot of activity happening there with the dispensary, with the eye doctor, with the new housing development that's there on the corner there, the new restaurant, the Houndstooth. So we see a lot of activity along this block here. Now, one thing that we want to definitely pinpoint here is that we want to see this project complement the focus of the City Center Park. This is home for us. So we've seen the concerts that take place downtown there. We see the farmers market that happens there. There's already a lot of good progress and traction that's happening within that park space there. And we do see this as a means of complementing the already existing activity that's in that park space.
Can I move on?
Yep, switch that one. So what are we looking to see within that alley space there? This is a prime opportunity to activate that alley, again, to complement the activity that's across the Pipestone Road there. We're looking at lighting, surface mural for the concrete. Right now, the city, you guys have done a fantastic job of actually repaving that alley that runs along Pipestone and Colfax there. A lot of lead work has been completed in that back alley, and now there's fresh concrete there. So let's get creative and let's see what we can do to actually, again, highlight that space back there. We're looking at lighting, seating. We're thinking about doing free Wi-Fi along that alley space there that will really encroach upon that park space and could actually provide that Wi-Fi for the park, for the farmers market, for the activity that happens there. This is a grand opportunity for individuals to not only take a seat in the alley space there. This is a prime opportunity for dining. The Houndstooth is a restaurant that sees a lot of activity throughout the evenings. Here's a prime opportunity to, again, have that public space activated along downtown and have more of our residents downtown to enjoy the activities and the amenities that we would bring there. And I'll throw it back.
Can hand it back to me. So this is some crazy idea, right? An alley project. Why would we invest into an alley? So, and again, in my previous role in Kalamazoo, what you see here is a project that our organization led. The organization I ran was a 501c3 nonprofit. We worked very closely with the city, but also with the businesses and donors and other anchor institutions, residents, et cetera. This is a little alley called Bates Alley. If anyone's familiar with downtown, the 100-year-old Coney Island restaurant is on this block, just east of the Radisson. For many, many years, it was just kind of an underused service alley. It had parking for a few cars, dumpsters, the grease containers for the restaurants. It wasn't really anything special. We looked at the master plans we had for the community and thought about, all right, what can we do with this thing to make it a special space that people want to come to, that events can happen, that will benefit the businesses there and actually stimulate some additional development in the area. So what you see here is the surface mural, which doesn't really pop until you see it from above. We worked with the city to close the street to traffic. This was almost a completely nonprofit or privately funded project. We had an incredible mural that was designed by a local artist that was put in place, and it was a community volunteer-led effort to actually paint it. So that was really a fun part of the project. I wish you could see this picture a little bit better, but it's a really awesome project. So we did this mural on the space, and it's close to traffic. There's decorative lighting that went up over it. Each of the 6 restaurants on that block all had decks built so that they'd have uniform outdoor space. It was really at a high level. So now if you go there all summer long and really all year, there's events in the summer. Every Wednesday night, there's an awesome event called Beats on Bates, so Bates Alley. So if anyone's ever there on a Wednesday night in the summer, I encourage you to check it out. The outdoor dining is huge. It was a huge thing in COVID, right? I mean, when the lockdowns were happening and people couldn't go inside, the city created a social district so you could actually have a drink and walk around the alley. There was some legislation that allowed for that. There's been vendor fairs there, so it's been a space where entrepreneurial activity can happen. And it became kind of an iconic spot for wedding photos. So at weddings and graduations and that type of stuff. So if you hit the hashtag Bates Alley on Instagram, you'll see tons of photos. And it's attracted new development to the area. So there's a project, that same Coney Island building, the upper 3 floors are now being redeveloped into 14 apartments across a range of incomes. And then there's another surface parking lot just outside of this that's being developed with a new building. So here's a great example. This is, again, Wednesday night. There's free music. People across the community come. It was really kind of the most diverse programming that we had. And it's really become a hit. It's in its, I think, 4th year now. Just last weekend, that headline, which you can't read, says Kalamazoo Restaurant hosts Hispanic Heritage Month celebration. So it's been a space that truly everyone in the community has used. It's been a free space to program. It's been a very big hit. There's a picture of the outdoor restaurants on one of those Wednesday nights. So again, a real boon to the businesses there. And the last one I think here is just this idea of vendor fairs. So this is an event called Vintage in the Zoo, and there's vendors that come from all over the region and are there every other, once a month, I believe, during the summer. And it's been a big, big hit. I'm going to toss it back to Zach to talk a little bit about our concept and how we refine that into something and hear more from the community, and then are able to come back with kind of a final concept and ask. So, Zach?
So listen, this is economic development at its heart. There's always a war on the traction of what we can do to bring a focus to this area, to attract business, to attract development, to attract people to our area. What we want to do is create this sense of place for Benton Harbor. We've already got great traction that's happening with development happening downtown here. And again, the City Center Park is definitely the heart and soul of the community. Wilson Chandler recently had his concert a couple years back, and I think that was another opportunity to put this area on the map. So here's a grand opportunity for us, the city of the community of Benton Harbor, to jointly work as one to continue to put the city on the map. And again, from an economic development standpoint, allow us to seek out those businesses and those employers to bring home to our area and allow them to call this area home as well. So this is a great quote. It's a little fuzzy there, but a place for the community is designed by the community. So what we want to do with this project is provide or gather community input. We want to allow community members to, number one, have a better idea of what a vision for downtown could be. But more importantly, we want to make sure that the voices are heard. So we do want to open this vision, this opportunity for downtown to the community. We plan on hosting mini events within the next couple of months, or next month, I should say, before it gets too cold. But hosting a community open house, providing online input, doing in-person opportunities to walk the space so that community members can have a better idea of what this could look like from a larger standpoint. Handouts to local businesses, the whole nine. We want to throw everything out there that allows the community to have the input to help guide what this vision could look like. And what are we looking for? We want that input from what do you want to see? Is lighting selection. We talked about the surface mural. Andrew mentioned the surface mural that the Bates Alley in Kalamazoo had. This could be a grand opportunity to bring in maybe the school district or the Boys and Girls Club, or you name it, to have an idea, or even get paintbrushes on the ground to help paint that space there. So we definitely want to be as involved with the community as possible and gather community input. And lastly, what we want to ask of the city, number one, we want to take back all the information and the input that we receive from the community and share that back out and make sure that, again, the city is very aware of what the city wants to see or what the community wants to see downtown. There would not be, and I want to say that again, this would not be a financial ask of the city. There would be no obligation for expensing any of the seating, the lighting, the painting. None of that would be acts of the city. What we would ask is if the city would consider actually blocking off that alley to vehicular traffic and allow that to be a walkable space for patrons and residents to take a seat, do their everybody's working from home or starting to transition back from home to the office, and here's another public space, another opportunity for people to enjoy the great spring and summer weather of Southwest Michigan. And lastly, that permission to actually embark upon painting the surface mural.
Zach, I wanted to add too, there's this would not be a request to vacate that street. So this would remain a city street. Theoretically, it would just be closed to vehicular traffic, have collapsible bollards so that you could get in there if you needed to with a utility truck or public safety vehicle or something like that. So,
All right, thank you.
So we got one other one real quick that's pretty important, but
Very
it's just
quick,
two
very
slides, and Michael's going to handle
So-
that. So
what I have is a little bit different, not as exciting as community engagement pieces, but we came across an opportunity to save a building on our main street from becoming vacant. 115 West Main currently is housing the VA As most of you must know, over by Meyer, there's a new VA building that was just built last year, and they're going to be moving into that next month. We were tasked, we found a RFP from a state social services agency that is looking for space, and we feel like we have a very strong candidate in this building. Not that we want to have a medical corridor on Main Street, but this will help out with the Lakeland building that's right across the street from them on Colfax. There's the Center for Better Health across the street, as well as the eyeglass place. So we have a lot of services that'll be centered right on that same block of Main Street, which retains jobs. Our big ask on this one, though, is related to parking. We understand that the city hasn't had a paid parking program instituted, but this tenant would require 24 spaces. In our math, we figured that this is a 15-year lease, so that could bring at our minimum ask at $10 a spot for these 24 spaces. Over that 15-year period, the city can make $43,000.
Thank you.
But
Turn the light on for me, please.
yeah,
Wow.
that works.
So our ask would be a recommendation
Well,
to the
that's something-
commission.
That's something that you gotta go through the proper channel before you just do a sales pitch like that.
Well, this is
I mean,
this is what
did
we were
go through those
instructed to
channels,
do.
and that's what we were
So
told to do, so.
All
So,
right, well, we'll just talk to the attorney, get something drawn up, and do a presentation to the full body. But I mean, we're not here to sell a parking lot tonight.
understood.
works for me.
Any questions for them while they're here about the grants? The small business grants that they're willing to give to people?
So, I just have a point of clarity about the alley, and that's the one right in back of where the offices are, that entire alley.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Any questions about the residential grant? You said something about residential grants for giving grants to businesses in the area.
I don't think I said that.
Well, I thought it was up there about some.
No, I mean
I'm
we
sorry, matter of fact, you got to release it.
So I
No,
just
it's
have a question pertaining to small business.
Just,
Come on, look at it. Small business facade grant that was released yesterday. How can, who do they need to contact to talk to? about
so
it?
We haven't re-released that grant yet. We're in the talks of working on that re-release.
Okay.
Currently, there is focus on the
You guys
M139
have
corridor,
any
Main
grant
Street.
programs going on
and
for
elsewhere.
small businesses that are-
we
Not
do
at this
not
moment.
at the
Not at
moment.
this
So we're
moment.
looking at we had a facade program that had been out there for a number of years, and I think went dormant maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Sure, we have our Women's Business Center, which is a federally funded program that's technical assistance. We can connect them to lenders.
How many have you done in the last couple of years?
Oh
We have to
gosh,
speak with
hundreds.
The Women's Business Center on that. That's a separate entity within our.
Yeah.
group. So that has its own director, manager, and people that work in that staff.
Yeah, we'd be happy to get data on that, but I mean, there's clients in every single
Do
day.
me a favor. This is just something my pet peeve. Next time you gotta do a presentation, don't just have all black people in there.
I don't even get that. I don't even
Well,
get the point of that.
No, I
statement.
got that on that. And then if you're gonna talk about having,
Commissioner, I don't even understand that.
That's fine,
that
please,
statement.
please. I would love to hear.
That's what was on there.
Uh,
All right,
on
go
what?
back, you wanna turn it back on?
Sure.
Not really, because you already pressed us for time, so.
All right, so
Let's-
then second part is, don't just have entrepreneurship intents.
Say that again.
Entrepreneurship intents.
Sure.
A lot of other businesses that you push are not intents. They're in buildings. They're in locations.
Can I offer?
I don't get what he's talking about.
If you're talking,
Mike,
all right,
just please, Mike.
I don't get that one.
well, you're gonna get it.
I mean, I do get what you're
No,
saying.
you're gonna
I got
get
it.
but
I got
you
it.
don't get it now,
Okay,
you're
go
gonna
for
get
it.
So, don't just have them intents,
Certainly.
because there's a lot of businesses that have come through this community that we've helped, that we've given abatements and grants and everything else, that we didn't put them in a tent. So I understand the market, the farmer's market, and people go out there for entrepreneurship. But I think there's a greater need for the entrepreneurship in our community for our minorities, and I know you don't understand that, because you haven't been around it long.
No, I do understand that.
So let's come up together with a plan, because that alley should have some, not just one, but some more minority-owned business that will access that alley, that will enjoy that alley. But if you got an alley full of restaurants that they can't afford, and then you want us to annex the alley and just have traffic control going there. I'm saying for the people of Benton Harbor, we're one of the highest unemployed and the highest taxed.
Yeah.
That if we're gonna create opportunities, then let's create them together. And if you ever need to meet with me, my number's wide open.
Commissioner,
All right.
can I offer a quick response?
Thank you.
So the tents are really meant to show what would happen during an event on the actual alley. So of course, I mean, we want brick and mortar businesses. We want to activate the F&M bank building that we've invested money in at the facade, all those buildings on that block and on the next block and beyond. And we do have, I think, a strong track record of helping land people in brick and mortar spaces. We're absolutely committed to it. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely encouraged by it.
Yeah.
But when you have somebody who's been working to get a small business off the ground, and there's supposed to be money available, and then I put them in a tent to say, hey, come sell some cookies or sell some trinkets, while everybody else is benefiting off of a dinner, off of whatever they're selling.
Yeah.
That makes it look more like it's Tibet or some foreign country than what we want in Benton Harbor.
yeah, no, I hear you.
So
And
I
I,
understand the aspect of beautifying the arts district, but I think we do need to start moving towards some other areas in the city of Benton Harbor too.
Thank you.
wholeheartedly.
That will, because what I'm sharing is saying, I hear the statement oftentimes that Benton Harbor's getting traction. Benton Harbor's had traction for years.
Yeah.
Anytime you connect to 5 major bodies of water, I've been down here for enough years to know, people are not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Water's a jewel. It's gold mine. So what we need to do is somehow, we'll get with Director Little, get with our city manager, and we'll create opportunities to where we can sit down, not as people are coming begging, but people are coming partnering.
Yep.
And I would encourage that. I don't have that much longer here, but I would love to see our children, our young people who are coming back, have an opportunity, just like everybody else who comes and sells us and say they want to do something great, just like the flower center that was supposed to be right downtown. Just like when the Cornerstone came and presented the flowers that were supposed to be some massive place where the flowers would go to Harbor Shores. You know, just like this building down here that was supposed to be something that was hosted for weddings, and we gave them tax abatements and all this time to have that, and tax breaks and everything else. I want everybody to stand up for other people who might have been disenfranchised and help them get to where they need to go and stop closing the door and just writing business plans and give them some money to operate.
I think it's so critical. And maybe to your point of the pictures, I mean, in my previous organization, core was making a downtown that was for the whole community, right? That had relevant offerings. That wasn't just the Irish Music Fest, right? And, you know, one of the things we heard when we engaged people was that the business owners don't look like me. You know, there were no Black businesses that owned bars or restaurants downtown. There's one that's opening right now. So those things are important. We're not scared to say that that's a target. It absolutely is. So, yeah.
Mayor
Yeah.
Pro Tem, one comment. I know that you were saying that we need to work together and all that. I just wanted to make this one comment that the entire reason that we're here today is because we want to work together. Like we've been meeting monthly with Mr. Little and Mr. Mitchell to figure out how us with Cornerstone can work together with the city. So that's literally the only reason we're here. We're not trying to pitch anything because look, in reality, we could do it ourselves. You know, we want to work with the city, and that's the only reason that Cornerstone exists.
Well, in reality, you can't do it by yourself. You need us.
We absolutely do. That's a critical part
We need
with,
each other.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Commissioner Adams, you got a question? And I don't mean to sound like that, but I've been 12 years with people who have said they made us promises, that said they were going to help people and do what was right for the community, and this is going to help you, and this is going to make your situation better. And we were still just fighting the other day just to keep our schools.
Yeah.
So we don't need missionaries, we need settlers. But when you say us, it's hard to say us when we live in this community.
Right.
When we have kids that go to school in this community.
I hear that 100%.
One more. I'm sorry. One more on that one, bro.
Quickly, I want
Mike.
to thank you all
Good.
for the
Good.
marvelous,
No, let him speak.
your predecessors.
Let him speak. Let him speak.
Literally, you say for us, like I am a settler. I'm from Benton Harbor originally. I moved away in 2000 to go to college. I came back last year because I wanted to be in Benton Harbor, not on the West Coast. So I am here for Benton Harbor. So I don't want anybody to get that one twisted. Okay, that's it. So let's go.
Okay, I want to thank your predecessors of Cornerstone, because I've been down here since 2000, when tumbleweeds were in the arts district going around the street. You've done a wonderful job though, of a lot of the ideas that have come through these chambers. When I pushed the medical marijuana ordinance with the fighting that everybody praises now and coming up with some valid ideas, then is when I stated that why is the alley, we need to be saving our pavers that is leaving our community right now would look good in just the idea that you come up with. And I've been crying about these bricks for what, 12, 13 years now, as well as job training. I'm not gonna stay stuck on that because growth has had to happen. And I'm so glad that we have some young people that is doing some stuff in Benton Harbor that will not be counted out. Yes, there's a new program in town, and I hope you've met them. Their new CDC.
Familiar.
For the city of Benton Harbor. Okay. Have you worked with them on this project that you all have come up with?
Not yet on this one. We've
Okay,
engaged mostly with the people on the block.
Let me
so.
see. I think I start.
And I will say, sorry, to interrupt, because you're talking about us.
Oh no.
We have not engaged as a CDC in that. Those are people we have there with us.
Okay. Oh, yep. I just want to make sure that everybody we're on one page
Yeah.
and we're working together. I just want to say one other thing.
No.
No, the gentleman mentioned something about a building.
Commissioner, yeah, we can't just. we just can't
No,
keep
you gave me the floor, sir. May I finish?
Yeah, but this young
The
lady-
young
this
man.
this
No.
lady
I
has-
should not have mentioned her.
But you mentioned that program. man.
I mentioned them as a group, as a whole, after the presentation spoke. And this gentleman presentation is saying that they want to work with organizations and the community, people and residents. I mean, I'm not, okay.
Grateful.
I wanted to mention something about a building that this young man mentioned that I brought before this body.
But Commissioner, understand.
I spoke with somebody today, and it's the perfect place for us to birth some babies back in Benton Harbor. And Mark Florian just happens to own the building, and I've asked you all that it's the perfect time for us to invest in another asset to allow some of our babies to be born in Benton Harbor. I spoke with the gentleman of the VA today. And he stated that they would be more than willing to work with something of leaving some of the equipment that they're not taking.
Thank you, Commissioner.
But
This young lady has something she wants to say. Thank
And
you
I
guys
want
for
her to
coming.
say-
All set?
And listen, my phone number is always open. I do want to sit down and meet with you gentlemen, on this, but,
Nice mobiles on there.
thank you. And I will say that, anytime that there's something dealing with economic development, even though you're talking to Mr. Little, please let us know. So me or even my co-chair will know before a meeting, because this is not the place for us to, but I just have some pet peeves that I'm seeing all presentation. And go back and look at your presentation. When I had the people in the park, it was all black. Seriously. So, and that's not a slap or slight. It's just saying that when we go to other communities, how do we represent this Benton Harbor? Benton Harbor's not just the all, we sit in the park, people that are black. So I do appreciate your presentation. Thank you so much
You bet.
for taking your time to come. And Director Little will get back with you on that. If somebody wants to contact your office about the presentation, how can they contact you, John?
Sure, you can email me. So my name is Andrew Hahn again. So my email is ahaan@cstonealliance.org, or you can call us.
Thank you,
So-
Mr. Vaughn, as always. Good to see you.
We'll look to potentially be on Monday to talk more formally about the parking, and then hopefully within a month to bring back what we heard from the community.
I
So
appreciate you.
thank you for your time.
Are you gonna have a public event where they can come and talk to you?
We will, absolutely. We're gonna do an open house. We'll make sure the city gets it, that this is communicated on social media, there'll be a press release, the works. So you'll hear about it, I promise.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you again.
All right. So first I want to start by,
Can you just state your name, do me a favor?
okay, yes, Ashley Hines. I'm representing myself, first of all, but
Is there
also,
public comments?
yeah, also the Ben Harbor Community Development Corporation. And first, I want to start by saying that we cannot be selective about when we're going to show people respect in this chamber. I have sat in this space, meeting in and meeting out, and it is just complete chaos. And so, whatever personal feelings you may have about organizations or entities, we have to start operating from this space where we're trying to build bridges and make things happen here. And the way in which this is conducted, there's always this critique about people not showing up, and this is why. Because you have, from the top down, people being rude and being selective about when we are going to show respect to one another, even if you don't necessarily like what people have to say. So that's my first point. And to my second point of why I'm
Do me a
here.
favor, speak to us.
Yes. I'm here because I want this on public record. And so to my second point, when you have entities like Cornerstone who are here really doing the work that their mission is centered around, is because they are doing the work to drive the resources in order to do these projects. And these same things can be done in the inner city if these opportunities were open to us. And so to that end, I'm here about the property that's across the street from BJ's at Empire and Broadway. And we have been working to try to secure these properties from the owner for the purpose of community-led transformation to turn it into some type of community co-op, whether that's a grocery store, a cafe, and doing more research around what that could be. And since then, we've been able to contact their attorney of one of the property owners who it's a lot of you all may know the owner as Lady T, but she is now facing criminal charges because she was given a notice in February to demo the property, and she was given 90 days to do so. There was some back and forth about whether or not this was a criminal charge, but it is. She was charged with a misdemeanor, and then given a public defender who took her case, and now someone is representing her pro bono. And I'm saying all that to say is that she can't even entertain the idea of allowing the community to transform that space, which has been something that has been noted to us as a great interest in that community and could really be a catalyst for change of how that neighborhood comes back to life because of these criminal charges. The only option that she was given was to demo the property, not to, and I don't know if she had previous notices to, are you her son?
I am.
Thank you for coming. To get the property up to standard or whatever that may be, but the notice that she received was to demo the property in 90 days, and the city attorney filed charges against her prior to that 90 days expiring, and it's now refusing to drop these charges against her. And so I want to go on record publicly in front of the committee and whoever else is president so that we can start working together to see how we can make this work. These buildings, though blighted, can be brought back to life. We have seen this happen a number of times downtown. We already have the structure. The funding that Cornerstone just applied for and got this grant for, we were trying to apply for that same grant to do work on this building, but because we did not have site control, we were not able to do that. So the resources are available. We do have the talent on our team. We are already connected with developers on our team who can make these projects happen, but we just need some cooperation from the city perspective. So that's all I have to say. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I also have copies of the actual motion and exhibits as it relates to this case. I'm not the attorney involved, but for clarity, I like to provide receipts. So if anyone is interested in that, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Somebody want to contact your organization, you have a way for them to contact.
Yes. If you can contact me at bentonharborcdc@gmail.com. Thank you.
City attorney, what?
Mr. Nard.
Yes. I think that the group that came, they had a great presentation that they put together for what they presented to us today. But one of the things I would like to say to you all, I want to use it as a metaphor. This metaphor that I said that you can have a body, an entire body. And that body is speaking to the city, is not any healthier than what the community looks like. And I'm coming to you all because I see a lot of the branches falling from the trees, they're old and rotted. I've been coming here since Mr. Watson was here, and I was promised to get that tree taken down by the garden. And there has been no movement. He promised me that he would have it done. I talked to the mayor earlier this year. He said that he was on it. He would take care of it. That tree is yet there, and a lady almost lost her life there because one of the limbs fell. That's on Pearl Street, on the corner of Pearl and May.
Could you make a note of that, city manager, Pearl and May, the corner?
And then I've seen in other locations too, the winds get high, those dead limbs is just falling. And if it falls on a child or anyone, that's a lawsuit because it's on the tree lawn. And that's the city's business there. And I've been asking for the longest. Now, as I was saying, that a body is only, a city is only healthy as the community have grown. We look at downtown that's fixing up and everything. It's a good thing because that's the first thing they see when they come into the city. But then so many times over the years, we look at Benton Harbor and say, oh, it's the community, the people, they're doing this and that. That's a lot of people that don't even live in our community and come and litter. So I'm saying that we've had street sweepers for years and they don't make a regular visit to these communities. We got 4 wards. And if they were to have a street sweeper to come down after each one of those days, take 4 days out of that to cover a ward, we could see a different complexion to our city. And as I was saying, the body is most important because look at your body. If that heart stopped beating and it's in the heart of the body, the head and everything dies. Am I right? Because that heartbeat is the main thing that makes that body operate. So if you haven't got the city taken care of inside, people are looking at, oh, downtown looks wonderful. But don't go in the inner city because it looks a mess. We have streets that we've been taking taxes for, that the streets need fixing. Yes, they're fixing the lead pipes and things, but still and yet they should have a crew right behind that. Once they finish an area, come and fix those streets. Now we're going into a winter again with a lot of broken pavement in the city. So we need to think about in operating as a head of a government. You got a book that shows you all the laws and everything about the city, of running the city. Follow them. That's all we ask. Thank you.
Archie, Mr. Archie, I'm sorry.
How y'all doing? My name is Archie Davis, and I'm here. The city clerk gonna give you advice on my father, who passed away July the 26th this year. And I want to address to you guys that I would like to see a monument of the 5 firefighters. My father started in 1957, February. They were the first black firemen that was hired in the city right down here, downstairs. So I would like to see the legacy. He made history because, actually it was 6 firefighters. And one of the guys that was here, he had went away because I guess he had moved to California. But anyway, they all work very hard. They risk their lives every day. But, I want to see their names and see their legacy still honor them with a monument from the city they paved the way because, like I said before, they was the first black firemen that's down in this building down here. And I used to, I get a little emotional because I used to ride the bike down here. And I said, Daddy. And then I say, what you doing? He said, I'm down there cleaning the trucks up and stuff. So they used to ride up Highland and come down McCoy Street. I stayed on Bus Street and they used to toot their horns. But I told my father before he left, he said, make sure they don't forget us. So it's one fireman that's still living here. His name is John Billups. He's 91 years old. And he couldn't come to my father's funeral. And I want to thank the chief and the fire department for doing the honorees that, out there that day at the church. And he made a promise. I made a promise. I said, Daddy, I said, I'm going to not recognize you. I'm recognize all 6 of those guys because they was right down here in this building. And this same building right down as a landmark because in 57, they were the first African Black Americans that was down in this city. And that was the year that I was born. That was 65 years ago. So I come to you guys. I want you to, I want to request for, I would like to have a monument with all their names put here because they represent this city. Now, back then, they didn't have but one fire station. And then in the late 80s, they had one on Empire, but the base fire station was right here. That's when it all started, from right here in 1957, the year I was born. So when he on his deathbed, he told me, make sure that my brothers, they was all like brothers, don't forget us. Make sure the city don't forget us. This was his words, what he told me. So I appreciated you guys that that's what I want the city to pay for, having the monument, to put their names down on the monument, stated that they was the first Black firemen that really kept this city going. They work, firemen work hard every day. And when my father, he was off duty and he went inside a house, stayed next door to me when I lived on Bus Street, just getting off, and the house was on fire. He went in there and saved the dog, got him out of there and gave him resuscitation. He just got off from here. Didn't have no gear on. I said, Daddy, you going in the house? He said, yeah. He went in there by himself, got the dog out of a 2-story house, set him on the grass, gave him oxygen to breathe, and the dog lived. So my father and mother came up here in the South because in the South, back then it was segregated. And when he came, he chose to be, he said, what, do you want to be like me? I said, Daddy, I'm getting into entertainment. I said, I like what I'm doing. I said, you like what you're doing. But he said, well, I'm going down here. And him and 5 more other guys, John Billups, Walter Barnes, Mr. Beans, Axel, all of those guys, they was right down here. I was like 7 years old when I used to ride my bike down there. They working very hard. So firemen, I look at it, they have a job to do and they risk their lives every day like the police officer risk their life every day. So when he told me that on his deathbed, told me that, son, everybody said I look so much like him, whatever you do, but he told me I want to make sure they don't forget us. So Mr. Billups, he's 91, his granddaughter's taking care of him. He wanted to come, but I guess he's in a wheelchair. And I hadn't spoke to him. I call him Uncle Johnny Billups because they all worked together like brothers. So in the 70s, that's when he became the fire chief. My father passed away. My father retired from the city and also decided to go to Whirlpool in 2005. That's when he retired, and he passed away at the age of 87, July the 26th. So July the 26th this year. So I get a little emotional because it hit me hard, and I'm still grieving for it because we were just like buddies, and I was the first out of 12. So I went to direction and entertainment. He went to here. So he was a city employee, all of them. So I made a promise. I said, Daddy, you're in so heavy now, but I won't forget that they're going to make sure, and I know they're going to do the right thing, make sure all of you guys, not for you, all 6 of them, be honored with a monument right out here in front of City Hall, saying that they were the first African Black Americans that got hired in 1957. That's it.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you, sir. That's touching. My uncle was a firefighter there for 30 years.
Here?
Eugene
Wasn't the
Seats.
first one on
Here?
Washington?
Eugene Seats was a firefighter there for a whole lot of years.
A lot of years. And it was one, like I said, it was one on Empire, but it was a little fire station on Empire.
35 years. He worked with your father.
You worked with my father.
Yes, sir.
He told me about you.
Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to you all that's here. Good evening. Here for a couple reasons, and I try not to interfere or come to meetings unless it's important. And I think one of the things that's important, especially what I just heard from Mr. Archie, I think it's a beautiful thing. One of the things I was thinking about and decided to come out and support was that since I've been back in the last 5 years, I would say, it's been a kind of an increase of people who have born and raised here, went to school, or maybe left went and got other experiences, such as myself, 40 years away, come back. And we come here not because, and I don't think we came back here for the glory. I don't think we came back for the pay. And I don't think we came back for the grandstanding, but I think we came back off of a higher calling. And you could call it what you want to call it. But I think in support of that, it's good to see that we're here, not only as Black residents, but also coming back to be Black, not just Black owners, but Black rebuilders, which I think is very important. And as Mayor Pro Tem said, his kids and his grandkids would have loved the opportunity to be a part of that upcoming. So I'm here to support, as I said, Mr. Archie and the CDC and a lot of these other, I haven't met them all, but I'm quite sure there's others. So that's my support. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Let me say this. 12 years being planning economic development chair, there's a lot of development that's happening in this community. Nobody fights development. Nobody fights economics. We fought to hire youth. We fought to employ youth. We've negotiated from top to bottom. We've saved our CDBG even before Director Little got here.
All right.
2 years into our office, we found commingling of funds that was happening, different things that was going on. So don't leave here with the fact that somebody's against development. That's one of the false narratives that have been put out for years when we helped NSP2, NSP1, resident-owned business, Article 6, we put that legislation in place that you have to hire a certain amount of minorities. So, but what happens is I would rather be helped than studied.
Mhm.
A lot of people utilize your economic conditions to improve areas around you and not areas for you. Look at it. Y'all check it out.
Thank
We better than just parks. When are we gonna be the lender and not the borrower? We need a bank. We need a whole lot of stuff that we need to put our money together and try to figure out a way to better the situation for your children. The children are coming. This young man wants to build a gym for our young kids so we don't have to beg nobody to go play basketball anywhere. We was here when the EFM came in and kicked us out of office and said, you don't deserve nothing. And gave away your property and then told you if you got a cat, you got to put a leash on that. So this narrative, this new facet that says that you're fighting development. No, we're actually saying that of the billions of dollars that you got off of us, it's time for us to be a partner and not just somebody who, let me say it better like this, be a producer instead of consumer. Biggest problem we had when that legislation first got passed is that we didn't just want to see Black people buying marijuana. We want to see Black people having the opportunity to have ownership.
Yeah.
So let's get out of that little mindset that we want to. I don't want to see nobody go to jail for property. When you got a whole downtown that's been lighted for years. You know, but this is in litigation. And if I had to get on the witness stand for this young lady, who I patronized her for years, her shop, my family worked in that shop. Be doggone if I see that matriarch, patriarch of our community go to jail for something stupid. But it's gonna take people who know how to get there in order to get them out of there. And it's not just gonna be the one person, It's a lot of people that need help. There's a lot of people that need us. So if we're gonna stick together or stand together, let's do it. If you don't know how to do it, don't. You got people that's doing it. Find out how they doing it. If you can't cook a pound cake, don't go get the box and try to make one. Find out how to make one homemade. You know, this quick stuff is not where it's at. We paid our dues for a lot of stuff. This young man, how long you been in government, Mr. Little? I mean, Mr. Mitchell? 54 years. How long? 54. You don't think he knows something? How long you been in government, Mr. Little?
Working for government, you mean?
Working for government?
Yeah, there's a difference.
54 years? You don't think they know nothing? Saved the whole CDBG program, and we looking at him like he a fool. You don't know what he talking about. Saved the city money, got us out of financial distress. They don't know nothing. We need to push each other. Y'all ever seen that sign where you got one person going up and somebody pulling them down from behind? When you can get better, you request better. But the longer you sit behind and expect somebody to do it for you, you'll never get there because they'll play you until you get to the end of the line, and then they'll pull back and say you will never qualify. Too many felonies. They can't pass a drug test. They can't get this done. So that's where we need to start because the downtown is thriving. Our corridor should be Empire. Empire need to be fixed up. You got major buildings on Empire that need to be fixed up. You got a gas station opportunity. You got stores on that street that need to be revitalized.
Talked about it for years. Now it's just time to do something.
That's what our revitalization is. It ain't down here. We ain't drawing. We need to make some money. And back then when Pete Palmer, whether y'all like it or not, I'm just giving you a little bit of history. Don't get down there. Pete Palmer had the building across the street. You had Lady T. You had Lyman. My cousin Leon worked in the shop. You had all kind of stuff that was going on. You had shoe shine business. You had suit stores. You had the Pig. You could go over here to shop at 5 or 6 different minority-owned restaurants. You had a man, the young lady was frying fish at the corner.
So it's time again.
That's what we got to get back to. But it ain't going to happen from begging.
And one of us can't do it. So maybe I
It's going to take us all.
Okay, let's
So
just
let's get a credit union.
So if
let's
I
get
may,
a credit union together.
if
put our money together.
If I may
and y'all
share
can do it.
this right quick. I lost your wife's email, Archie, through the chair, but I did get that email to the chief fire marshal, and he stay in contact with him. And what I just shared with Archie was there was an opportunity that came up, but it's for next year for a 911 event.
I think we can.
And do something special for.
I'm willing to give up some of my stipend, man.
Okay, can we just plan something for the one that's left
We get a
and
picture
something
of
for
them or
his
something.
dad?
Maybe it's not gonna be like the Martin Luther King Monument. We can put something.
Well, let this be the first start though
We
of
can do
planning something.
And put it up down there in the fire station. I'm quite sure Chief McGinnis don't have a problem with doing something. We can put that picture on it and honor them.
Okay,
You know
can
what
I
I'm
get the list of the demos, the homes that are up for
Please
demo?
talk
Can you
Director
send that to us, Director Little?
Please.
And also, as far as the youth summer program, just like that, that opportunity that came through for that event, we can connect our children in the community. For the past 9 years, I've been on these calls with Michael Smith that was working for Obama Foundation that is now running AmeriCorps. They are requesting us to get our children in the community involved voluntarily for a stipend. We fought for this and now it's happening. But if the community isn't engaged, informed, and educated, then we're gonna keep on buying signs, putting them everywhere else when they should be in the school. Because that's where the kids coming from. They're doing all the shooting.
Director Little, can you get
Tell the truth.
Commissioner Adams?
That's where it starts.
Kind of that information. I would like to see them building too, or learn how to roof electric or something.
I'm not finished. I got one more thing.
Can I go?
Wait a minute, and it relates to our city attorney. Our city attorney, as far as what I just heard a resident say, are we sending something forward to have him to stop, cease, and assist
Yeah.
immediately?
Yeah.
We ain't got to do that.
I'm done.
I am curious about that, as well as how does the demolition execution process happen?
Okay.
I'm not aware of that.
Can you do me a favor? And I'm not, the way the demolition process happens, it has to start with our code enforcement. Code enforcement has to send a certain amount of letters and give a certain amount of time.
Okay.
What the problem is right now, I can't speak on, this is because in the litigation is in the hand of the judge, but I will say publicly that I do support her. I'm not saying I'm against the city, I'm not saying I'm against anybody, but I do support her, and I do support the fact that we need to try to find a different way, hopefully, to remedy the situation and not put anything on anybody's record. That's not what we're about. So,
Okay.
do me a favor though.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get the process, clerk, can you get her, this young lady, I'm sorry to say her, can you get her information? And you got her information?
Right.
Could you email her the document or the process?
I can get her in touch with code compliance.
Can you
And
do
to
that?
even, because like, does it come before you guys to
No.
stop the demolition, or still all? Can I, the judge?
Yeah, so.
I'm sorry.
As part of the legislative committee, we get a lot of complaints about blight and about a lot of stuff. Why this building up? Why this house up? Why this, why?
Mhm.
So what code compliance has been actively doing is creating a process by which we can get people who own buildings, houses, whatever, to either rehab it or fix it or do something. Because we've had a number of people who own properties in the community who do nothing with it. Windows are open, it's a blighted property, the city look a mess. So we get a lot of complaints, calls, texts, emails about properties. I've been getting them. And so at the last meeting, and I think it was at the commission meeting, the attorney spoke to this particular issue about, because there was a resident that came about a property that they weren't given a permit on until they fixed the roof. So they're trying to streamline a process to make sure that this kind of thing is taken care of. So before somebody gets all of that, they have gotten a number of warnings, is what I know. How many this particular individual, this person, has gotten, I don't know. I don't know who's handling her affairs, so I can't speak to that. And again, it's in a litigation, maybe the chief, maybe.
Yeah, we're not gonna try to.
Yeah, we can't speak to that, but there is a process, and there is a long process from what I understand, because there wasn't one in place, but they've been actively trying to do that. And I know because a lot of the complaints have been coming through legislative committee about how to address landlord issues, blight issues, those kinds of issues in our community, because it looks a mess, as you just heard a resident talk about. And so that's what's happening.
Okay.
Thank you. The clerk is gonna get you the information.
Okay.
I will say this, that not only are they looking at slumlords, they're looking at slum tenants.
Yeah.
So it's going across the board on what they're looking at. We can't say today all the information that has to do with this case because it's pending. So we cannot become involved because the attorney is handling. There's a reason why we do have an attorney. But I will say that I'm not for anybody 90 years old, just to get on the record, or 80 years old, or 70 years old, or 60 years old for something that can be rectified in a different way. I will be in contact with the city manager, also with the attorney. Also spoke with the mayor today, who was very concerned also about the issue. So this is something that we're not taking lightly, but we are going to look into it to make sure everybody is made whole and sound at the end of the day, because I would hate to see this young lady tortured by legislation and legalities in her later years, who have sold and given to this community a whole lot. She's paid taxes for a lot of years to this community and done a lot of other things outside of just her shop. Her legacy is bigger than just the shop. But That's something that is for the future. Hopefully we can do something to help everybody who's been a first or second or a business owner in our community. So I do appreciate your coming tonight to discuss that issue, and know by hopefully this week sometime or next week, everybody will have the knowledge that's needed on this situation. And I pray that the building can be revitalized. Usually when buildings are certain ages, there's certain things out there that can do revitalization for them. And I would hate to see somebody's legacy just to be hit with a bulldozer. That's not what we want. That's not what we need. We have too many bulldozers in the city as it is. We have snag-to housing everywhere. We have buildings downtown that have been dilapidated for years. And I don't see signs up everywhere down there. Hopefully we can have, not just in our areas, tore down, but if you want to tear down, let's tear down a lot of other areas, because I've seen buildings that don't have a roof, don't have a side, don't have a door, don't have a window, but it's still there. So that's something that we have to look into and go forward. So I want to tell everybody tonight, I appreciate your coming. And hopefully you got what you needed out of the meeting. If not, please feel free to call Director Little, and we'll see you next month. Have a good night. Thank everybody for coming.